So the first game of the first set goes to John McEnroe. A quick reminder that it is a best of 3 set affair. The championship goes to best of 5. The Molson Challenge will continue in a moment. We're in the first set at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. The Molson Challenge. John McEnroe leads 1 game to 9. And with Bjorn Borg serving, it is 15-all in game number 2. Both players like to stay at the baseline. It'll be interesting to see which, if either, start coming to the net. And there was McEnroe doing just as I had suggested. I thought he would be the first on who might be the man that would come to play the volley game.
Well, that was a beautiful topspin lob by Borg, but just a shade long. McEnroe didn't try for it. He knew he had no chance if that ball landed in.
It's 30-all. Right-handed Borg serving to the left-handed McEnroe. And an unforced error, something that we've seen a few times in this tournament so far.
But an unusual thing for Borg to miss a routine ball like that. A scorching forehand passing shot. John McEnroe that breaks serve and gives him a 2-to-love lead in this opening set.
McEnroe. He leads 2 games to love.
Here's Borg with that topspin going in. Watch McEnroe's backhand. And there's that forehand into that open spot. Beautifully placed.
McEnroe serving at 2 games low. First set, Molson Challenge in Toronto.
And as I said earlier, Peter, you are going to find John McEnroe swarming over the net. He wants to break up the rhythm of Borg.
Connors was certainly successful in the conclusion of the regular round-robin play doing that, and McEnroe's been just overpowering so far in this tournament as well.
Tremendous serve for 30 love.
30 love.
Well, notice how far back Borg stands to return McEnroe's serve. Even on the second serve, he keeps his distance.
McEnroe was rating right at the net also, so even had that ball made it, I think that the point would have been scored by John McEnroe. 20 years of age in just a few days. February 16th, in fact, his birthday. There's the game, and John McEnroe has quickly jumped out into a 3-love lead in the first set.
McEnroe leads 3 games to love, first set.
The Molson Challenge will continue in a moment.
And you see the lifetime record of these two players. Two of those great matches coming at the 1980 Wimbledon and U.S. Open championships.
It just seems that John McEnroe is starting to overpower Borg, and Borg has been very listless, not only today, but in the final few games of last night's match with Jimmy Connors. There he goes to the net for the first time, and it gets him a winning point.
Well, Borg is going to have to get much more offensive and get himself into this match if he's going to beat McEnroe today.
Now Borg up 30-15.
30-15.
Well, that's the tactic, Peter, that I felt that McEnroe would employ. As soon as he gets a short second serve, he's going to hit it. He can come over the ball or under the ball so very, very well, and he will get into that net and volley.
So it goes to 40-30, and Bjorn Borg gets the opportunity
40-30.
to hold service for the first time in this match. And there it is, Bjorn Borg.
Game ball.
Here we see Borg going up for that easy overhead, racket back, in open court for the point and the game.
3-1, first set, best of 3 sets. The championship game on Sunday for $175,000. First prize is a best of 5 sets. John McEnroe has been wearing that tensor bandage on his left thigh since the very first part of this tournament.
Yes, Peter, that's a neoprene bandage on McEnroe's left thigh. It's to protect a pulled muscle, which he got 2 days before the Masters Championship in New York. And he says it keeps the heat in, and the leg is coming along pretty well.
Didn't hurt him in Chicago. He didn't lose his set in winning the championship there earlier in January.
Love.
Here again, watch this left-handed, so it brings Borg out of the court. He has to reach with a one-hander, and then look at the feel that McEnroe has on that volley. And Borg, trying to go down the line, does not make it.
Love.
John McEnroe leads 3-1 in the first set. Service was long.
But there you saw McEnroe trying to go down the center of the court because he felt that Borg was waiting on the two-hander. You've got to keep Borg guessing all the time. Tremendous point by both players. Borg not looking very pleased with himself.
McEnroe goes ahead 4-1 in the first set, and the Molson Challenge will continue in a moment. Peter Young and Don Fontana at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, the first semifinal of the Molson's Challenge.
Again, a beautiful passing shot from the forehand of John McEnroe. Here we see that again in slow-mo, and there goes that cross-court forehand by McEnroe. Back to live action.
This time McEnroe an unforced error into the net. 15-all. Borg trailing 1-4 in the set. Really not looking as sharp as he had earlier in the week here in Toronto.
An unforced error by the Swede. Well, you know, the dangerous thing about Borg is when he's in trouble, and that's the mark of a champion, he'll do something different. And here you see him on the attack, lunging for that backhand volley and making it into the open court. Back to live action.
And McEnroe now has
30-40.
break point.
And McEnroe with that break point, trying to take Bjorn's second serve and get into the net, but he just hit wide of the tram line. Bjorn missing on that first serve wide to McEnroe's backhand.
That time the forehand by McEnroe doesn't stay in, so the advantage goes to Borg.
McEnroe, there's a little off the top of the net. Borg coming in on the two-hander. McEnroe trying again. Goes wide.
And Borg holds service. So now McEnroe leads the set 4-2.
4-2.
So it is John McEnroe to serve. He broke the Swede in the second game of this opening set. And if he can continue to hold serve, he will run out the set.
$15 love. I'd like to remind you that Don Fontana will be picking a specific point in this match between McEnroe and Borg, and it will be designated as the Panasonic point of the match, and the winner will be receiving a special gift courtesy of Panasonic. Whichever player wins the match, one of the spectacular plays in his repertoire. McEnroe now starting to kibitz a bit with people behind him in the box seats, talking to himself. And very good second service and fights back.
very deep. Served it down the middle at Borg and took the angle away from him.
Just didn't make it.
McEnroe trying a little touch half volley, one of the most difficult shots in tennis. Here we see Borg returning, and there's Bjorn just trying that, ticking the top of the net, but bouncing on his side of the court. Still has a 40-15 advantage, so he could take that chance to trifle with a point. You know, I heard when he served that second, he knew he didn't get it in deep enough or wide enough, and it was bread and butter for Borg. There you see it going by.
So it's deuce now as Bjorn Borg fights back.
Deuce.
McEnroe missing an easy short forehand. So we have a situation here where John was at 40-love with a 4-2 lead. Now he finds himself at deuce, opposing the player with the finest service return in tennis.
Watch McEnroe move to the net here and
volley that ball in the open court, and a little touch volley with Borg way out of court.
the advantage is to McEnroe. He leads 4-2. First set. And there's the game to John McEnroe. So Bjorn Borg must hold his service, or he will lose the first set.
There's McEnroe coming in on that volley, and just with beautiful hands flipping it into that open court.
The Molson Challenge will continue in a moment. Bjorn Borg, who has won every major title except the U.S. and Australian Opens, what a record that is, fighting for his life actually here in Canada at the Molson Challenge. And not, I would think, very happy about his performances in Canada in the last little while. Last summer, of course, he had to pull out.
Well, he certainly is a little listless and off his game today.
All.
The third voice you hear from time to time is that of Mike Orr, the umpire of today's match. Mike pointed out at this time that the umpires, as well as all the officials, the lines people, have been extremely competent throughout the week.
nice touch volley by McEnroe.
15-30.
Thirty.
30 all.
John not pleased with his backhand there. I think he felt he had a very good opportunity to pass Borg. Great reverse forehand by Borg.
40-30.
Here we see this Borg coming in, catching McEnroe flat-footed, one of the few times that you will catch him flat-footed.
We're into deuce here.
Deuce.
And Borg continues to miss that first serve.
Ball is out. Advantage, McEnroe.
Well, there was a situation where it was called in by the linesman, and the umpire overruled.
McEnroe in it, the net, but that ball did look wide.
McEnroe turned around and looked at the
Ball is out.
linesman.
And here we have a set point for John McEnroe.
Ball is out.
So a little case of even up there.
Well, that was a delayed call by the linesman, but the umpire, Mike Orr, was quick to step in and make that call. Now, Borg is saying that he felt that the ball was good.
In any event, the score is back to deuce. Again, set point for John McEnroe.
Advantage, McEnroe.
It's a strange turn of events. Here we see McEnroe actually punishing Borg with his ground strokes when it's usually just the opposite. And McEnroe with his second set point.
And
McEnroe holding his throat for the choke-up sign there, saying that had a golden opportunity and didn't get the ball in the court. You must get the ball in play on a set point.
advantage now goes to Bjorn Borg.
Advantage, Borg.
So the game goes to Bjorn Borg. He trails 5-3, first set, and John McEnroe will be serving with new balls.
Well, Borg saved 2 set points there when the situation looked a little hopeless. He's still in the first set.
He was there, he just didn't get it up.
Well, he was there, but John did not bend his knees on that half volley. He stood straight up, and of course, you've got to bend your knees in tennis. We'll see that again. Look at him straight up on that ball, and then he kicks it in the net because he's displeased. He knew what he did.
Now he's having some trouble. He went to bouncing, and one fell out of his hand.
McEnroe trying for the ace down the center strike, just missing. Make no mistake about that high forehand volley. Racket well out in front of him.
15 all.
He has absolutely racket control. Here we see him coming into that net. Watch this. Out in front, into the open court. Here's McEnroe lunging for that topspin shot by Borg, not able to handle it.
Borg must break back to stay alive in the first set. Something he was able to do against Jimmy Connors on Friday night, when it appeared Connors score a love set against him.
So there's McEnroe's best serve of the afternoon.
30 all.
The one that he swings you right wide on the backhand court. He seems to have had more trouble in the deuce court in getting that first serve in.
Well, now there's one too many tennis balls on the court.
That was an absolutely magnificent point played by both those players. You see, look at McEnroe just get up and get that shot, thinking he'd won the point, but Borg quickly moves it by him just over his outstretched racket, and McEnroe still playing that. Borg smashing away the overhead. An ace by McEnroe, and could it come at a better time? Down a break point.
McEnroe's first ace of the match. And now McEnroe claims advantage.
McEnroe,
McEnroe.
a set point and serving.
There it is, the game, and first set goes to John McEnroe, 6-3.
Here we see that set point. McEnroe down the middle and wisely elects.
And he wins that first set, 6-3. The Molson Challenge will continue in a moment.
Right.
Borg will be serving to start the second set, having lost the first 6-3.
Borg was broken in the second game of that opening set, which ultimately was the only service break in that set. McEnroe took a 3-love lead.
First service. Love.
Our statisticians tell us that in that first set, the competitors went to deuce only 6 times, which was a rather small number compared to the type of tennis they've been playing all week when they were staging marathons.
Thirty, 15.
Borg into that net. McEnroe forced a lob. Borg, look at him move to the backpedaling there, and that overhead is way out of sight of John McEnroe.
Does it again, and Bjorn Borg jumps into a 1-game-to-love lead in the second set.
Borg wins the first game of the second set.
The Molson Challenge will continue in a moment. John McEnroe serving. Second game of the second set.
Here we have, look at Borg on that forehand. Just whips that ball, and McEnroe could not control the volley.
Short hopped him. Back of the service line, McEnroe hammers the ball to the ceiling.
Here's McEnroe in that windup, swinging that ball wide, and Borg goes right down the line at the feet of McEnroe. Love 30. McEnroe in jeopardy for the first time of losing his service in this match.
Fifteen, 30.
McEnroe setting himself up for an easy volley after that fine sliced serve. Here we see, look at those hands into that open court. McEnroe questioning that call.
Sometimes wonders why the fans of the Garden get on a little bit.
McEnroe did a very wise thing then. He served the ball at Borg's body, taking the angle away, and it caught the Swede unawares. So he's pulled himself up from love 30 into a much more favorable position here. 40-30.
McEnroe had nowhere to go.
Deuce.
A dejected John McEnroe going back to serve at deuce.
The crowd has been fairly vocal here at Maple Leaf Gardens. Players have not objected to that either. They feel it gets them a little bit more involved in the game, and they haven't objected at all. Great crowds have been on hand all week. Close to 15,000 last night. He blew that one right by him. Second ace for John McEnroe in the afternoon.
There goes McEnroe. Look at that windup. Right down the middle, past Borg's backhand.
Don, if there's a value of a lefty serving to a right-handed player, to what court would it be?
Well, to the ad court. Well, you should never have said that, Peter, because you obviously forced McEnroe into a double fault. John practicing that serve again.
Back to deuce. Second game in the second set. McEnroe won the first set 6-3.
Beautiful point. Just simply marvelous tennis. Borg scrambling and lobbing. McEnroe going back and angling off.
And McEnroe manages to hold service when it looked earlier in the game as if Borg would break. And it's tied up 1 game each in the second set. For those who have been wondering, here's the way the rest of the tournament went money-wise. Johan Creek and Sandy Mayer finished 5th and 6th and received $20,000 each. Eli Nastasi and Wojtek Fibak, $15,000 each, finishing 7th and 8th. Top prize is $175,000 tomorrow afternoon.
McEnroe just floated in there to make that backhand volley. He forced Bjorn so deep into that corner. Here we see him going up. Look at that beautiful touch. Again, we see it. Magnificent short cross-court passing shot. Again off the forehand by John McEnroe. And there, one of the best points in the match.
McEnroe felt he had a chance to really get Borg on the ropes. 15-30. So a break point coming up for John McEnroe.
It's a very vital game. McEnroe got the break early in the first set.
Borg fighting back 30-40, still break point for McEnroe. 30-40 is the score. And Borg, with that well-placed ball, takes it to deuce.
Deuce.
Well, McEnroe did the right thing. He took the second serve. He came in. He tried to put pressure on Borg, but Borg was up for the test, and he passed him.
You won't see that happen very often to Bjorn Borg.
That could be a costly double fault for the Swede because it gives McEnroe a second break point in this third game.
The longest rally of the match so far, and Bjorn Borg is back at deuce.
Deuce.
And that was such a big point. Look at McEnroe being forced so wide there, moving away as that ball floated out.
Ball.
Now Borg has advantage after McEnroe for 3 occasions had a break point. And that is out, and the game goes to Bjorn Borg. So Borg holds service. He now leads the second set 2-1, and the Molson challenge will continue in a moment. Back at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, Peter Young and former Canadian Davis Cup star Don Fontana. John McEnroe starting to chatter a bit with some of the spectators. He's almost had a persecution complex, it seems, here all week, Don.
Well, I think he's a little upset now. He had some excellent opportunities to break serve that last game. 2 break points. He would have liked to have taken an early commanding lead.
McEnroe beat Borg only once in 1980. That was at the U.S. Open.
But a pretty good place to beat him, Peter.
This time he's able to pick it up and get it over the net, but couldn't keep it in the court.
15.
Borg kept the return very low at McEnroe's feet. I tell you, that serve of McEnroe's came in so hard with so much slice on it that Borg simply couldn't even handle it.
Reminder that Don Fontana will be picking the Panasonic point of the match. And at the conclusion of this match, we will have a special presentation to the winner and the most significant point in his victory. If you just joined the broadcast, the first set was won by John McEnroe, 6-3. Bjorn Borg leads 2-1 here in the second.
No chance for Borg to even come close to making a return on that volley by McEnroe. He's looking dejected. He is not pleased with his tennis this week.
Borg extended to a full 3 sets in his first 2 matches and was blown away after a brilliant comeback in the first set by Jimmy Connors last night in straight sets.
Game, McEnroe.
A very deep second serve by John McEnroe to give him that game.
2 games all.
Tied 2-all in the second set. One of the little-known facts about John McEnroe is the fact that he led his team, Stanford University, to the NCAA title in 1978. Didn't stay in school much longer, though. I think the money was a little...
They couldn't afford to stay in school.
I had to laugh at them all week when they're talking about the $25,000 bonus for beating Bjorn Borg, saying the money really didn't matter that much. Until such time as Jimmy Connors won it last night, and then he said the money mattered a little bit.
50 all.
Well, for your information of the viewers, McEnroe has won $972,369 in 1980 and a little spillover into 1981.
And very honest, too, by the way, in saying that perhaps they're a little overpaid. He mentioned that at one of the press conferences. Now, whether or not he's serious about that, I don't know, but it is a comment that he did make.
John not pleased with the fact that he overhit that turn, trying to attack Borg.
.40-15, and neither has been close to breaking the other for a couple of games now, although early in this second set, both had a chance.
Game 4.
Bjorn Borg wins the game, and he now takes a 3-2 lead in the second set.
3 games to 2.
And the Molson Challenge will continue in a moment. Well, the same crowd that was behind Jimmy Connors last night against Bjorn Borg is certainly on Borg's side to come back against John McEnroe. Semi-final action in the Molson Challenge in Toronto. Jimmy Connors and Vitas Gerulaitis yet to come.
Well, McEnroe went to get ready to serve his second serve and heard the phone ring down there somewhere. Rather disconcerting.
Now he'll get somebody shouts out a comment just before he serves. And you might have heard him yell, "Yep," as the ball passed him.
Well, he paid the price for not balling deeply enough to Borg, and we'll see that now. Borg returning, McEnroe balling up, and the Swede just pumped that one by him off the two-handed side. A big break for Bjorn Borg as his backhand hit the top of the net and bounced over the outstretched arm of McEnroe. No chance for McEnroe. Important point. It is love 30, and he's down 2-3 in the second set. And he just reached an ace. No.
You can be the judge here. It looked initially like it was an ace, and
it looked right on that center stripe line to me. McEnroe is going crazy right now.
I don't think that McEnroe is wrong in this case.
Who rolled the ball out? 20 seconds after what? Because he stood there? Why? What did you wait 20 seconds? Did he have any questions? Why did you wait 20 seconds? I'm only asking you to answer the question, that's all. You just tell me why you waited 20 seconds.
Okay, John McEnroe's asked for the referee now.
Referee has come to the court.
You heard the conversation too, Don. It was, he thought it was in. He was concerned that they didn't call it quick enough.
Borg trying to topspin lob, but didn't quite get deep enough, and McEnroe just knocked that off.
Big point here for McEnroe.
Look at him backpedal on that and snap that wrist down. There we see it again. The topspin lob. Look at that footwork by McEnroe. Angle.
And he's evened it back up at 30 all.
30 all.
Managing to regain his composure very quickly after an altercation.
Well, he has that ability to concentrate even better after an argument. Not many players can do that. Well, McEnroe tried perhaps a shot that was a little too fancy. And against a man as fast as Borg, he just ran it down. And McEnroe coming in. See that little touch volley that dropped too long. And he paid the price against the player as fast as Bjorn Borg. Break point.
Neither has been able to break the other so far in the second set.
Let's see if Borg steps around now and tries to take the second serve on his forehand. Beautiful play by Bjorn Borg. Like so for the first time in the match. Watch Borg come up there. He's just so quick. He just slides that back.
4 games to 2.
Here it is again. Watch him slide it down the line past the edge stretch racket of John McEnroe.
5 lead. Love.
15 all in the 7th game here. Set 2. Borg leads 4 games to 2. Spectacular rally.
Just magnificent tennis. Look at McEnroe just chipping that lob, and Borg with an overhead couldn't make it. Finely tuned touch volley by Bjorn Borg.
30 all. Momentum starting to swing a bit towards Bjorn Borg, who was not sharp in the first set.
Here we see Borg coming into the net, making backhand volley. McEnroe scrambling, but he had no play. McEnroe said, "Yeah," and Borg holds third for a commanding 5-2 lead in the second set.
Game 4. Borg leads 5 games to 2. Second set.
There it is. It passes John McEnroe. Borg wins the set. He leads it 5-2. The Molson challenge will continue in a moment. Back at Maple Leaf Gardens, John McEnroe will be serving, and he's once again carrying on conversation with the fans, who he feels are a little bit against him at times.
Well, Peter, he was also carrying on quite a conversation with the official referee, Len Allard. No doubt about the eighth, which he felt that he served at love 30. He's just held up his hand there to signify to his opponent that he will be serving with new balls.
For this tournament, they are changing after
7 and 9.
7 and 9. Then if it goes 3, which it could very easily go, 3 sets in this match, they'll do it again at 25. Shouldn't go that long. On this fast surface, the advantage might be even a little bit greater than some surfaces.
Well, it's always a nice feeling to serve with new tennis balls. They go faster.
John McEnroe described this surface as medium fast. We've been on it a number of times, Don.
I think
quite
that's
adequate.
An apt description.
There have been no complaints at all from the players concerning the surface.
Well, the court has been actually laid on a basketball floor that the Gardens have, and the basketball floor has been laid over the ice.
Volley there that is a winner for John McEnroe.
Tremendous shot by Bjorn Borg, who went very, very wide, and with a one-handed backhand just flipped it on the angle past John McEnroe. Half volley by McEnroe. Now watch Borg go over here with a one-handed angle that ball McEnroe couldn't believe it.
All.
McEnroe knew he had no chance at all. He just stood there and knew that Borg was going to put it away.
30-40.
A set point for Bjorn Borg. Good first serve by McEnroe.
Deuce.
Well, there's no question, Peter, that McEnroe can really hurt you with that first serve. He just sort of dug himself out of a hole there, down a break point and a set point, and now he has an advantage. He wants to win this game badly. And he did it again. He drew Borg right out of the court and had a very easy volley for the put away. And we'll see that again. Watch him swing this ball. Look at how far Borg had to go out of court, even to had to play the ball with a one hand, and McEnroe just taps that into the open court.
I don't like your chances when the opponent is Bjorn Borg standing at the net like that, waiting for a lob.
15 love.
There's Borg in on that. A very, very short lob by McEnroe. Borg just pounds that into the stands.
Borg serving for the set. It looked early in this match as if it might go two straight McEnroe's favor. But Borg now perhaps only 2 points away, losing it to a third set.
There you see the mark of a great champion. Basically a baseline player. When he really needed that point, he changed the action there and he got into the net, and I think he surprised John McEnroe. Another super tennis point by the two finest tennis players in the world. Look at McEnroe trying a little drop shot, Borg running it down, tapping it down the line, and Borg outguessing McEnroe and anticipating that volley. Triple set point for Bjorn Borg.
There it is, Bjorn Borg wins the game. Wins the second set 6-3. We will have the third and final set in this semifinal when the Molson Challenge continues in a moment. Man rated #1 in the world by the ATP computer.
A tremendous round for Bjorn Borg, going back to receive serve. So John McEnroe will open up this third and deciding set
McEnroe to serve.
on serve. The Swede never changing expression. McEnroe into the net, and Borg just wide with the forehand passing shot.
McEnroe trying to pull off something that hasn't happened in many years. Back-to-back defeats suffered by Bjorn Borg.
Incidentally, he was the last player to give back-to-back feats to Connors and Borg. What anticipation. He was just simply outguessed Bjorn.
30, love.
Lunge volley by McEnroe. Now watch him make this move. Look, he fakes and then he's got it.
First set.
Two best players in the world make it look easy sometimes, but their abilities are something else.
Love.
Look at that sliced volley by McEnroe. He had so much slice in that volley, Borg could not dig it out of the Supreme Court. That is the rubberized surface that they're playing this $5,000 Molson challenge on.
And that one's out, and McEnroe with the love game starts off set number 3.
McEnroe wins the first game of the
Borg
final
lunging for that return, and it went just about an inch past the baseline.
The Molson Challenge will continue in a moment. Peter Young and Don Fontana back at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto as you watch Bjorn Borg prepare for his first service in the third set in the first semifinal of the Molson Challenge.
Well, McEnroe played a beautiful lob over Borg's head, anticipated the point before, and then missed his forehand coming in. And you see Bjorn hitting that ball. Look at him. He's running back. Now watch the shot that Borg makes here with that forehand. McEnroe comes in on an easy shot and hits over the baseline.
All.
15 all.
This tournament has been going since Wednesday. McEnroe finishing first in his grouping in a round robin. Borg finishing second in his, losing his only match to Jimmy Connors here at Maple Leaf Gardens last night.
An incredible angle on the overhead by John McEnroe.
15-30.
Let's watch now and see if McEnroe will come in on Borg's second serve. Nope, he couldn't. It was too deep.
McEnroe was there. He thought it was going to go out, and it didn't.
Well, he couldn't believe his eyes. He let a ball go that was right on his racket practically, and it landed a foot in the court.
He was there, I believe.
See, look at him chipping his backhand down the line, getting in, and there, look at, he almost could touch that ball and let it go. That was a very big point. The difference between 30 all and 15-40 and 2 break points.
And once again, Bjorn Borg, double faults. They went to deuce 5 times in the second set, making a total of 11 in their first 2 sets. And it's out, and there's the break that John McEnroe has been waiting for as he jumps into a 2-love lead here in the third set.
McEnroe leads 2 games to love.
Well, this is the same pattern as in the first set when McEnroe started off, held his serve for 1-love, and he broke Borg in that second game. He has now repeated that performance in the early stages here in the third and deciding set.
Love 15.
John upset with himself at missing that volley. I think, Peter, that we all forget that these great players in the world are human, and they can sometimes miss a shot that may look easy to us.
With these people playing, none of them look easy to me.
What a point that was. McEnroe hit one off his shoe tops, and then that backhand volley that he lunged for. Look at McEnroe into the Borg, gets the ball back. John lunges and makes the volley. That was one of the finest points in the match.
That ball was out.
30-15.
McEnroe goes up 30-15. We make mention of some of the great plays, and we will choose the most outstanding point. Don Fontana will, the outstanding point for the Panasonic point of the match for the winner of this semifinal.
Well, McEnroe's first serve there, which was long, almost knocked the head off the center service line lady.
Now 40-15.
40-15.
McEnroe with the opportunity here to go ahead with a commanding 3-games-to-love lead in the third set.
McEnroe's serve was after that same blinds lady again.
There's the game to John McEnroe. He goes ahead 3-0 in the third set.
McEnroe leads 3 games to love.
Borg didn't even chase it, as you'll see in this replay.
There he is.
Volley
The volley
goes
is
by
in that
and
open court.
nobody there. So McEnroe leads 3 games to love in the 3rd set. And the Molson challenge will continue in a moment. John McEnroe in a very comfortable position, leading 3-love. 3rd game, Bjorn Borg serving. May I correct myself? It's the 4th game here in the 3rd set.
And also, Peter, I might point out that I don't think there is such a thing as a comfortable position against Bjorn Borg.
Oh, Jimmy Connors found that out last night.
3-love can disappear very quickly.
For those who don't know, Connors was up 5-love. And very quickly, Borg was right back in the competition.
McEnroe saying, get in. But he couldn't talk it in.
Boy, that's a home run ball by Borg. Yeah, that ball got away from him.
Well, the thing is, he leaned into the ball beautifully, but at the last second, he mishit the ball. Here we see him coming in. Look at that. He just shanked that.
Very powerful serve by Borg.
He has not served that well this match. Missing that first serve there by at least 2 feet. What a magnificent point of tennis. John McEnroe just pummeling his backhand with overspin.
Advantage will go to Borg, and we'll see if we can pick up what McEnroe's saying, but he is again questioning the call.
Well, the ball certainly looked good from this angle. Be difficult to convince John McEnroe of that.
Advantage goes to Borg. He needs it badly to get back in this match. Back to deuce.
You know, points that tough look routine to players this good.
Deuce as the backhand.
Well, McEnroe again forcing the play, trying to get into the net, not letting Borg get his rhythm, and many times it's working for him. Trying to keep the pressure on Bjorn.
Fans mistook that for a point for Borg. Perfect volley by McEnroe at the net. Catches Borg, and now the advantage swings to McEnroe.
Here we see McEnroe into the net and lunging for that cross-court volley.
But no sooner does he have break point than Borg takes over, and it's back to deuce. Borg is serving, trailing love 3 here in the third set.
John coming in again on the backhand, lunges, just gets that volley on the line. Watch Borg over here looking very casually and just looping the ball down the line past McEnroe.
Bjorn Borg at his best. And he finally wins the game.
Just off the top of the net, Borg comes. McEnroe somehow gets it back, and look at that angle volley by Bjorn Borg.
John McEnroe now serving, leading the third set 3-1. Each has beaten the other 6-3 in a set. The winner of this meets the winner of the Vitas Gerulaitis Jimmy Connors semifinal for $175,000 US.
It almost fell in court.
15 love.
I think McEnroe breathed a very deep sigh of relief when that ball landed outside the baseline.
McEnroe turning 22 next week. Borg, no old-timer, at 24.
Well, it won't be too long, Peter, that McEnroe will have all the spectators against him here today. He questioned a ball that wasn't really close. It was at least 3 inches out of court.
Familiar rocking style of service.
That's it.
It's an unusual windup, but wow, what an effective service.
The result quite evident there.
15.
Perfect two-hand backhand by Bjorn Borg.
30 all.
McEnroe with a very deep, good second serve, and Borg hitting that two-hander out of a cannon for a winner. $30 all. 3-1 in games. Final set.
McEnroe very upset with himself now as it goes to 30-40. Hammers the tennis balls into the net.
30-40.
And Borg has a chance to break back here.
Well, he served a good first serve, but Bjorn Borg just hit back a better return. So break point against McEnroe. And it's, oh, just long on the top spin lob. Borg caught McEnroe absolutely flat-footed. John's into the net. Good high backhand volley. Look at Borg. Look at McEnroe. Could do nothing but hope. A very big first serve there at Deuce.
McEnroe.
McEnroe now only a point away from jumping into a potential 4-1 lead. Thought he had the ace.
Stopping in mid-court there. As you said, Peter, he thought he had the ace. Obviously a premature move.
Double fault.
And you can tell he's going to be very upset now.
McEnroe. I'm issuing a public warning.
There's the warning, and now McEnroe will be very careful, because Anastasi found himself in a similar situation opening night of this tournament and found himself defaulted out of the match.
And the umpire has given him the first warning for unsportsmanlike conduct, Mike Orr has said.
Replay, please. You agree with the umpire?
The next time it could be a point taken away from him, and at this stage McEnroe is not in a position that he wants to let Borg have any life, especially free of charge. Now the fans are totally behind Bjorn Borg, cheering when McEnroe faults. Back again at break point.
Ball.
Well, John had a fairly easy volley there. And, wide, but I believe that other point is still bothering him.
Why didn't you say that after the last serve? Sorry, I haven't lost it yet.
Well, that got him a little crowd support.
And it's out, and Bjorn Borg breaks McEnroe's service, and he's right back in this match. Borg breaks McEnroe out, trails 2-3. The Molson Challenge will continue in a moment.
He received serve.
John McEnroe walking back, and he's getting some cheers as He swings to the south end of the gardens. He had a very spirited conversation during that break with the umpire, and actually seems to be losing his cool a little bit. Now they cheered Borg for ball. McEnroe just shook his head. Love.
15 love.
Love. Borg now, and he could tie up this third and final set. Winner of this goes on to the championship tomorrow against the Gerolitis Connors semifinal winner, and that championship best of 5 set match can be seen right here on CTV tomorrow afternoon, beginning at 2 Eastern time.
15.
No sooner did he say that Borg is right back into it, it's tied 30 all.
That was one of Bjorn's hardest first serves, and it certainly got the necessary results.
To Bjorn Borg, and it's now tied up at 3 games all in the third and final set.
Games are 3-all.
Big game coming up here. We'll see if McEnroe has been unnerved by not only his behavior but by the fans at Maple Leaf Gardens. Should Borg break him here, might be all over. And if that's an indication, I'd say that John's concentration is just fine.
15 love.
Nice way to start off the very important 7th game in the final set with an ace.
Not only do the aces look spectacular, but they also could earn you some extra money in this tournament. In fact, $15,000 will go to the player of the 8 who records the most service aces throughout the 5 days of competition.
Backhand passing shot by John McEnroe. 40-love lead. Let's look at that one again. Here we see him. Borg coming into that net. Now watch McEnroe hit overspin on that backhand.
This one might not come down. Into the box seat as McEnroe will still have 2 chances.
That was good percentage tennis by McEnroe. He didn't really make much of a move to get that ball. He had 40 love. Let that one go. No point in tiring yourself out unnecessarily. What a smash to end that game.
So John McEnroe, with that powerful overhand, goes back into the lead in the final set, 4-3. And the Molson Challenge will continue in a moment. John McEnroe leads the third and final set in the semifinal of the Molson Challenge. 4-3. Each man has double faulted 3 times. Bjorn Borg serving, leading 15-love. And once again, they're playing with new tennis balls, and we'll have to see if it's to the advantage of Borg, as it should be.
Unforced error by Bjorn Borg.
They call him the Iceman, and usually in these pressure situations he is.
But he comes right back, Peter, with a very big first serve to knot the count at 30-all. And he's trailing 3-4. Crucial game for Bjorn Borg. As Borg is now within a point of tying up this final set again. Tied 4-4 in games now.
4-0.
McEnroe taking some time here to get ready to serve in this 9th game of the final set. What a volley by McEnroe. Uncanny anticipation.
15-9.
Let's see that again. There he is coming in on the serve. The volley down the line. Borg drills one, and look at the way he made that volley. I'll tell you, the tempo in this match has really picked up. Both men now hitting very hard.
See the sign of the Westbury Hotel in the background. The player is very happy to be staying there. It's just across the street from Maple Leaf Gardens. They say they have no complaints with the facility here at the Gardens and love being able to walk to the hotel.
Ace number 4 for John McEnroe.
40. Second service.
They've been going at it for over 2 hours already. And tied 4-4 in the deciding set. John McEnroe leading 40-15.
Well, he followed up that ace with a double fault. Unusual combination.
And with the winner, he takes the set. Correction, he takes the game and now leads 5-4 in the set. And we'll have more when the Molson Challenge continues in a moment. Back live at Maple Leaf Gardens, Peter Young and Don Fontana. The cheer for the two players, John McEnroe on your screen right now, and Bjorn Borg as they prepare for the 10th game of this third and deciding set. Bjorn Borg serving, trailing 4-5. McEnroe will be rating himself for his actions. It's a reminder that due to the length of today's match between these two top players in the world, we will not be able to show you live the Jimmy Connors Vitas Gerulaitis semifinal. We will instead be joining Wide World of Sports after the conclusion of this contest, and we'll have highlights of the Connors-Gerulaitis match tomorrow. Live coverage beginning at 2 Eastern Time tomorrow on CTV of the winner of this semifinal and the winner of the Gerulaitis-Connors match.
What a time to get a let cord. Borg hitting a good first serve, and McEnroe, look at that, just bouncing over into the court. Not a chance for Borg to get it.
Borg with that very powerful serve takes a 40-30 lead.
40-30. Start lead.
McEnroe taking the initiative and forcing Borg to hit a passing shot, and he missed it. McEnroe 2 points away from winning this match.
And he was there.
Anticipatively, but he missed the volley into the open court. Now watch him come in there. Watch where he is, right down the line, and he's just a little late on the volley. Perhaps a little tight to think about winning. A screeching cross-court backhand by McEnroe. Knots the count at deuce. Gotta have courage to hit a shot like that, Peter.
Here we are, match point for John McEnroe. The crowd cheering for Borg to extend this.
him. The logical shot was down the line, but McEnroe, for some reason, hit it back to where Borg was. Look at him come in with that open court right back. Borg couldn't move. He didn't know what to do, but he made a great reflex shot off his shoe top, saving the match point. McEnroe has had a great number of opportunities to win this match, and now will it slip away from his grasp? I don't think even Bjorn can believe he's still in this match. Here we have McEnroe coming in and just wide, so McEnroe has his second match point. And a very impatient John McEnroe, not waiting. Tried to go for a match point. Another breath of life for Bjorn Borg.
Borg trailing 4-5, serving at deuce, and now has advantage. He's 1 point from taking it to a deuce set. A little sawdust on the handle by Borg. Back to deuce.
Well, unquestionably the most exciting game of the match.
Yes, sir.
Well, Bjorn was actually going to follow his service into the net there, perhaps try to shake McEnroe up. And the tactic worked. First time in the entire match that Borg has come in off service.
Borg's advantage. Forces it to deuce set at 5-5.
What a game, and what a point to end that game. Here we see McEnroe, and watch this two-hander. Just too hot to handle for John McEnroe.
I didn't want to point it out until now, but we have yet to have a tiebreaker, and that could occur yet today.
John McEnroe, in the depths of despair. He should have been off the court and in the locker room, but here he is, back out there against the best player in the world at 5-all in the final set.
McEnroe winning the first set 6-3. Borg the second 6-3. It's tied 5-all here in the third and final set. The winner plays the winner of Jimmy Connors versus Vitas Gerulaitis.
He's in the zone. Look at that passing shot. So all McEnroe could do was look at it.
Reminder, due to the length of this match, we will go to Wide World of Sports at the conclusion of the competition and show you highlights of the Connors-Gerolitis match during our telecast tomorrow.
15 all.
Borg has slightly changed his position on returning service even further back than normally.
Thirty, 15.
John McEnroe now leading 30-15. And 40-15. Should each man hold service, they would go to a tiebreaker.
40.
Briefly, Don, it's a 12-point affair.
Best first player to win 7 points by a margin of 12-point tie or a margin of 2.
McEnroe at the whole court to ship the ball to
40, 30.
was wide of the tape. And it's 40-30.
You know, Peter, that may look like an easy volley, but there is a tremendous amount of pressure in this match. You know, when you think that the winner is going to take 175 of this tournament and the runner-up 100,000, every point is pressure-packed.
Third and fourth place money is $80,000 and $50,000 respectively. Beautiful forehand by Bjorn. Borg knocks this up at deuce.
McEnroe volley just not deep enough, and Borg just hooks that ball by him.
Quiet, please.
The advantage will go to John McEnroe.
A very big first serve by McEnroe.
The game goes to John McEnroe, so that man, Bjorn Borg, must hold his service in the next game to force a tiebreaker. McEnroe leading in the third and final set, 6-5, and the Molson challenge will continue in a moment. Both of these competitors are known as excellent power serve artists, and yet look at the percentages here in this deciding set. Borg a low 65. McEnroe, who has that cannon, even lower at 55. And it will be Borg needing to hold service now to force a tiebreaker.
McEnroe held that forehand to the last minute. Look at him. Just too hot to handle that volley.
And it's 15 all. We have not had a tiebreaker in the competition so far. And it almost seems fitting, Don, that it should come to an end that way this afternoon. As McEnroe, a little temper tantrum, rifles the ball across the court.
McEnroe with his backhand. Here he comes in with that forehand.
Can't tell from this angle, but by Borg's reaction, I would say it was out.
He stood up a little and the ball just slipped out.
Maple Leaf Gardens a sellout for tomorrow's championship, and we'll have it here on CTV. $175,000 going to the winner. Whichever man wins this match versus the winner of the Connors Gerolitis match. And Bjorn Borg is now 1 point away from taking us to the tiebreaker. Is out and 40-30.
40-30.
Fans here at the Gardens, and I'm sure those of you watching across the country, very appreciative of the excellent tennis being played by the number 1 and 2 ranked players in the world. We will have a tiebreaker to decide the finalists for tomorrow's championship.
See that final point, and it's by the outstretched forehand of John McEnroe.
12-point tiebreaker will now come into effect. That player the first score 7 points with at least a 2-point advantage between the tiebreaker, the set, and the match.
John McEnroe will serve once. That is, will serve for 1 point. They will then alternate at 2, 2, and 2 till someone reaches 7 or more by a margin of 2.
John thought that first serve was in, but the linesman thought otherwise.
It's not uncommon for them to go 4 hours in a 5-set final, but 2.5 hours for only 3 sets. A lot of tennis. Beautiful volley by John McEnroe at the net.
Great opening point in the tiebreaker. And 3 weeks ago, both these gentlemen met in a tiebreaker in the Masters at Madison Square Garden, and it was Borg winning that one 7-6. Look at McEnroe's anticipation there. McEnroe hitting a devastating backhand to take a 2-0 lead in this tiebreaker.
Borg has one more serve. He trails now love 2. Has to at least get one of these. Loses his racket, kind of tough to play, however.
There's an amazing point.
Borg lost his racket and McEnroe drove it into the net.
All McEnroe had to do is get the ball back in the open court. And he may have looked up a little, or he may have heard the racket go out of Borg's hand. I'm surprised that he didn't ask the umpire for a distraction call.
They'll change sides at the end of 6 points, and McEnroe I think that's what McEnroe was complaining about.
I believe he just said distraction, and I'm surprised he didn't jump on that particular situation earlier.
claims the ball was out of play when the racket fell. Now, I don't know about that. We saw it in the replay. We saw it live once. Borg.
That doesn't bother me, first of all. And second of all, the ball is dead. How can the ball be dead?
There's the official referee, Len Allard.
2-1. Your service.
Allard has called that point.
Helpless look on Borg's
Well,
face.
the situation, Peter, there is that if McEnroe had returned that ball, and even though McEnroe's, I should say Borg's racket came out of his hand, I'm sure John would not have complained.
Or given the point back or asked to be.
Well, he wouldn't even. He just walked over the other side and would have served. But you got to give him credit for trying.
2-1. McEnroe. They change ends at 6 points. One of the carryovers from outdoor tennis, which certainly doesn't matter in an indoor arena. Tried for the soft touch at the net and it didn't work. It's tied up at 2-2.
Well, it was a very low percentage shot to try in such an important part of the match.
Tied 2-2 in the tiebreakers. Hard served by McEnroe and a winner on the return. So McEnroe takes a lead of 3-2.
2-3.
Well, I find it amazing how he's able to come back after playing a bad point like that and play such a tough point.
And locked up again at 3. Each is now going to the side. Borg actually goes and gets a towel. McEnroe just continues on via the other side. Tied at 3-3. First player to reach 7. 4 more with a 2-point advantage.
Well, the Wimbledon tiebreaker was 18-16. I wondered if we can get up that high today, Peter.
Borg long with that first serve. McEnroe just misses.
But again, McEnroe was in very good position to win that point. He's not bending his knees now.
3-4.
Bjorn Borg, for the first time in the tiebreaker, has taken a lead.
Well, there is a great deal of pressure on John McEnroe now. He's behind a point, and he has his second service.
Tied up again at 4-4.
You know, Peter, there really is a lot of pressure. Both players were hesitant. McEnroe came in with not a deep volley, and Bjorn seemed to hesitate to me trying to pass down the line.
Power serve by McEnroe earns him the point, and he now leads 5-4.
4-5.
Borg serving at 4-5. Desperately needs both of his points.
And John McEnroe has a few match points as Borg falls behind 4 points to 6.
Match point coming up for John McEnroe, and
Look
by
at the beautiful shot that McEnroe hit and that volley into that open court.
I'm going to say, Don, by virtue of the way he played that first set, it should have never gone this long.
And Borg, changing tactics, comes in on his serve and saves one of those match points.
McEnroe serving for the match. John McEnroe serving now for the match. And a crack at a $175,000 first prize tomorrow afternoon here at Maple Leaf Gardens, and a match you will see live here on CTV.
He missed it. It's 6-all. And Borg has saved another 2 match points. He saved 2 at 5-all. And he's now saved another 2 in the tiebreaker. You know, if McEnroe loses this match, he may kill himself.
Quite a difference in prize money. The loser here is fighting for an $80,000 top prize. McEnroe having some problems with the crowd now. He's shouting names at the crowd. The crowd is starting to act a little against the etiquette of the game. McEnroe is certainly having trouble now.
Well, I'm afraid that he asked for it. It obviously has broken his concentration. He was 6 feet long with that first serve. He let it go, and it landed good. It was something that a player in a situation like that should not do. McEnroe should have tried to play that volley. It was too close to let it go without hitting it. So now we have Bjorn Borg serving for the match. Comes up with an incredible backhand to knock the tiebreaker score at 7 points all.
Fans are certainly getting their money's worth at Maple Leaf Gardens today, and you watching it across the nation, lucky to be seeing tennis such as this. Locked up at 7-7 in the tiebreaker. Have to win by 2 now. McEnroe is wide as he pushes a forehand.
Borg with the second match point. 8-7 in the tiebreaker. I mean, that is the most incredible point of the... Look at that. Look at McEnroe anticipate with the cross-court volley. And it's 8-all.
McEnroe is in a position again to win.
This is seesaw back and forth. Now McEnroe will, or I should say Borg will be serving, but McEnroe will have his 9th match point. And look at, he left wisely, let that one go.
Borg down to 1 serve. There it is. McEnroe is the winner. John McEnroe wins the tiebreaker and wins the set 7-6. He advances to the championship at Maple Leaf Gardens on Sunday afternoon. He will face the winner of the Jimmy Connors Vitas Gerulaitis match, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. And the Molson Challenge will continue in a moment.
And in the next few seconds, the Panasonic.
Well, there we see a shot of John McEnroe, one of the ball girls, pouring him a drink. His hand is shaking. It has been a dramatic, tense, and fantastic match. The tiebreaker ended at 10-8 in the final set. McEnroe won it on his 5th match point. Borg 2 match points. What more could you ask for the 2 best players in the world? Won the Wimbledon champion 5 times in succession, Bjorn Borg, against the 2-time U.S. Open champion, John McEnroe. The first set taken by McEnroe on a single service break, 6-3. And the second set taken by Borg on a single service break, 6-3. McEnroe then led the final set 3-love, had 2 points for 4-love, but the implacable Swede, the great fighting heart, the Iceman, came back to tie the score, and they went from there on serve until it was 6-all, and then we had a most dramatic tiebreaker and a fitting semifinal in the $500,000 Molson Challenge. And now let's go down to Peter Young at courtside.
Thank you very much, Don. And a spectacular afternoon of tennis. The fans here definitely got their money's worth. As we mentioned, did the millions across the country and in the northern United States watching the match. And Dyke Garrett of Panasonic of Canada is here to make a special presentation to John McEnroe for the point of the match. Don Fontana chose that, and it was in the tiebreaker at 7-8 when John really kept it alive with a brilliant shot that was the point of the match. And I know a very great honor for you to make this presentation.
Well, it sure is. Thank you very much. John, your tennis skills are really a pleasure to watch. And on behalf of Panasonic, we would like to recognize those skills. We have here the Panasonic Point of the Match Award. We sure hope it finds a place in your trophy case. It plays music. It's a Panasonic.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
John, if you just sneak over for a moment here, I know you're very tired. You had a rough match yesterday, a really long one today, but I'm sure very happy that you're playing for $175,000 tomorrow instead of for $80,000.
Well, that's true, but I cannot. The match is over with. When I hit that, when I had that match point at 5-4 in the third, and I had that volley on top of the net, and when he got that back, I fainted on the spot. I mean, I couldn't believe that I thought he was going to move down the line. I put it away, but even though I hit it pretty hard, so even though he was there, I didn't figure he was going to get the ball back anyway. And, I mean, I just felt like I'd gone such a long way, and to lose it after that, I just wanted to give it a try, and I was really fortunate to win the match.
We were going to mention that, and we did, in fact, in the telecast. Bjorn, it appeared, was confused himself. He just put the racket down, and it hit the racket. The ball hit the racket.
Well, I think he was surprised that he came back there. I'm sure he was expecting to go down the line. I'm sure he was happy to see he'd had another chance at it, but he didn't just block it back. He had time to just, like, flick it a little, because I think if he had blocked it, I might have had a chance to get it back again. But, I mean, I couldn't believe that he got that. I don't know, maybe he deserves a point in the match for that point.
You know what? You have to pick one or the other, of course, depending on who was the winner. And if he'd have won, you know darn well that was the point. I think he was a little flat coming out today. He lost to Jimbo last night, and it seemed early that you might have just routed him.
Yeah, I definitely think he was a little slow to start, but he does that once in a while where he wasn't serving nearly as hard as he's capable of. So it's kind of strange because you're not really sure whether he's going to hit the ball hard or soft. So you're not really sure whether to move in and really, try to hit the ball on the rise and come in, or just stay back and rally a few. So I think it was a little better maybe even in the second and third sets, where I could see that he was serving harder. And even though I lost the second set, I think that the reason for that was that his tennis picked up quite a bit, and from the way I did in the first set.
I know you'll probably want to get back to the hotel and rest. I'm sure you'll watch some of this next match. However, does it matter to you
I'm gonna go to
who you
sleep,
play? Does it matter who you play?
Well, and then I played really well against Jimmy a few weeks ago when I played him in Chicago, so that might have a psychological edge if I played him. I played pretty well against Vitas last night, so it all depends really on how you play. I don't think it really matters too much who I play. I just want to go out there and play him. I think whoever wins that match is going to be a tough match anyway.
You know, Borg very seldom has lost twice straight. Jimmy Connors beats you by one, and he gets the extra $25,000. Do you think they should keep doing this tournament after tournament?
Well, I personally don't think that that was needed, that incentive clause, but I think the players would have come up anyway. It was up to the promoters that did that, and maybe they just felt like they would sell more tickets. But, I'm sure next year when they have the tournament, they're not going to have that in there. And it's not going to matter because the players are going to come back anyway.
Canadian viewers across the land extremely pleased to see tennis of this caliber, especially to have the top three in the world playing here. The tournament, we hope, will be one that continues. Your impression so far of the entire week?
Well, I think that this definitely has the potential to be a very good tournament, and it's good to see a lot of people out. You hope that it's sold out. It was sold out last night and not quite today, and you hope a lot more people come out tomorrow. But, the more people that come out here, I think the better the tennis you see, and I think it's a good tournament. This in Chicago, which is run by the same organization, is the best that I've ever been treated. As, speaking for the players, I mean, we get limousines, stuff like that. We never get that kind of stuff in really nice hotel rooms, so I can't complain one bit about it.
Well, you certainly have responded, along with all the others, with spectacular tennis. The tennis fans of the country, thank you, and we know that we'll see much more from you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. John McEnroe, the winner of the Panasonic Point of the Match Award, and naturally also the winner of the entire match here today against Bjorn Borg. It was an exciting match. It was 6-3, 3-6, then 7-6 in a tiebreaker that almost went on forever, so it seemed. The type of a match that we expected we would get here today. When you match the top two players in the world, it is something that is bound to happen. We would like to remind you that because of the length of this match, however, we will be going to Wide World of Sports. But tomorrow, the championship, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, here on CTV.